Will we stay where we are for a long period of time? What do you think will be the turning point of the market? Because markets, they bottom out if the situation changes, or prices, they reach at a level that markets, they've discounted everything. What is your view on both? What will be the turning point for this market?
No, you are absolutely right. I don't think one should now be betting on the fact that commodity prices will keep rising. The big money over the medium term now will be made by people, those who anticipate what's going to happen in the future. And the billion-dollar question is, how long will this war prolong? How long will these kind of conditions last? And I am not an expert on macro. I'm not an expert on geopolitics or anything. And I like to believe that I am a follower of macro trends rather than trying to predict where it is going to be. So in my limited considered opinion, I don't think the conditions are going to last too long, because finally this is a war between two unequal sides, and for most of the developed world has kind of made it stand very clear they are not going to join the fight. They are going to only provide with arms and sanctions to fight this. So, and even Russia has made it quite clear that their aim is not to occupy Ukraine, but it is to demilitarize. So I feel this cannot prolong too much, and there is a confluence of many other events also pretty soon. The state elections, the fuel price hike, the Fed rate hike, everything is bunched up during this week. So I get a feeling that we are pretty much at the crescendo of this particular move, crescendo on the reverse side, that is. So, and it's a blowout move on the commodities side, and the risk assets are falling off. So I can't pinpoint, nobody can ever pinpoint, but I feel we are closer to the correction completing itself over a period in the next month or so.
Now calling for UN emergency meeting. Russia very clear it wants to take on Kyiv. Crude at $130 a barrel. What's your strategy for the markets?
I think, as I think you just mentioned, there's so many moving parts. So you need to really focus down on the micro, what's going to happen to India. And I think in Indian context, we must be very clear that consumer stocks will take the hit. They are still at a very high PE in Indian context, whether it's consumer staples or consumer durables. I think that's one category which is definitely looking for a long-term correction in the market. So if you are in that block of, stocks, I think you got a problem. You need to sell. It doesn't matter now. It's not too late. They're still very highly valued. So you need to get out of those stocks. I still believe that commodity play will continue as uncertainty plays out and the rupee dollar goes where it is right now. The commodity plays will start to give you returns or eventually, and they're already doing that. They're holding firm. So companies which are in the oil business or in the aluminum business, etc., I think they will hold firm for lots of time. Specialty chemicals, again, China plus one will become more strengthened thanks to what's happened in Russia. So while there's some correction, some over-exuberance, but I think by and large, specialty chemicals and basic chemicals, you should be holding on to, because that's one sector which India cannot do without, but it will gain by the currency. So so while examining all the political and global implications, one need to simplify and say, where should I be now, depending upon what's going to translate. And I think very clearly, oil price hike coming our way post the elections is going to hit the consumption. So if consumption stocks, I think, would be the first one you need to bail out of, because they will take a long while to not come back.
What is your understanding, Bala, when you talk to your distributors, when you speak to your investors? Do you think DII support in this market is here, the SIP investors are here? Do you now fear redemptions?
Yeah, I think the way I see the trend is rather the reaction to the market. Definitely, the of course steep fall, what we have been seeing in the last 2 weeks, has created some element of panic for direct equity investors. At the same time, the investors who have been coming through the mutual funds, and we are generally are seeing the query for investing has been rising. And second is the SIP as an asset class, or maybe a step-up kind of investing, which generally we all encourage, and the market falls. Maybe they should increase the allocation towards mutual fund equity schemes. That's something also we see a positive response coming from both the distribution community as well as the investor community. But having said that, as you all know, as it is known generally that the large pool of money has also come into the equity market by way of direct participation. They also seem to be realizing the fact that I think investing into the mutual funds could be a better idea. As you rightly put it, allocation ultimately is the one key to the success.
If this crisis or the shock prolongs for another 2 or 3 weeks, then markets could be sharply lower than where they are. So what is the best way out? Keep the faith, be a long-term believer, or it's now time to genuinely start thinking differently?
No, see, I would say that I think Bala just mentioned, right? Crises have always been the best buying opportunities. And in fact, if you look at it, since the Sensex start, there are, according to us, just 40 days have accounted for 80% of the return. That is, those 40 buying days, the steep correction days. So to me, a longer term investor, I don't think he should at all panic or change his methodology of looking at the market, which is that market always goes through a greed-fear combination. And when they are greedy, if you are not greedy, and when they are fearful, if you are greedy, that's the best way to get money made in the market. So a crisis like this, let's say, like you say, that it lasts for 2 or 3 more weeks and the markets could very well end lower. But neither you nor I know that, because all it needs is one agreement between Ukraine and Russia, and then say, okay, we surrender or do whatever, it could go away. So you can never time a market bottom, right? So granted that there is a probability that the markets could be lower a few weeks from now, what do you do today? Do you buy or not buy? My sense is that you got to buy, but the point is you don't put all your money in at this time. You stagger it.